The government is lying to us. The media is lying to us. Hollywood is lying to us. History is lying to us too. Advertisements are lying to us. Colleges are lying to us. Pop music is lying to us. Doctors are lying to us too. Late night shows tell late night lies. Morning programs program lies. Evening viewing spewing lies. Corporate sponsored lies, lies, lies. Games of blame and blasphemy, of mind-controlling alchemy, of symbol-weaving tapestries, self-righteous rigid fallacies, and dreams for chasing fantasies. Newspapers are lying to us. Law enforcers are lying to us. Warmongers are lying to us. Psychopaths are lying to us. The group you're in is grooming you. The herd you're in is hurting you. The shows you watch are showing you fictitious worlds transfixing you. Thoughts you think are not your own. Opinions formed are not your own. The fear you feel is not your own. Question everything, from leftist leanings to far-right wings. Lead yourself to free your thinking. Take the Kool-Aid you've been drinking. You are the key, you are the future, so thick your skin and sense your humor. The kingdom is right there for us. The garden is right there for us. Salvation is right there for us. Freedom is right there for us. There are lies and lies and lies and lies. And the truth shall set you free. Hey everybody, my name is Benny Wills and welcome back to Words, Words, Words. That piece is called To Put It Bluntly, and I wrote it as a response to some backlash I received from a family member about a year ago. And it was, devastating backlash. That's since been corrected. At my wedding, I finally saw this person, and we came to, a mutual understanding and recognized that we still had love for each other, regardless of difference in opinions. And I wrote that poem, and I thought, what's the simplest way I could tell a person what is wrong? And so that's it. Bluntly put, that's what's going on. Before I get into things, I'll say right off the bat, if you want to become a sponsor, patreon.com/BennyWills. I know Patreon is not ideal, but hey, it exists. And I've decided that I'm going to take every single dollar that comes my way and stash it in a vault of some kind or account of some kind and save it all up until I have enough to pay off my loans from college and grad school, which is right now the number is at $84,000. And I've been nibbling at it for the past 10 years, and it's not going away. And I want it to go away. I want to be absolutely as free as I can be from the system, and they have their claws in me with this debt. And I've explored all the options of, I've explored all my options, really. And I really wanted to walk away from the loan completely and dismantle it somehow and prove the contract was void and all that. And all that language stuff about laws and free man on the land and etc. And you know what? It's just more trouble than it's worth. That's the conclusion I've come to. That may be disappointing for some of you to hear, but trust me, I've exhausted my mind and my energy trying to find a way that could do it in a way that wouldn't get me in more trouble. Because even if all that's true, which it is, the opposing forces don't care. It's that simple. But the best course of action for me is to pay off that debt. And maybe I'll even offer something less than $84,000. But I really want to get rid of it. I don't want my wife to have it. I don't want my kids to inherit it. I want to kick it in the ass. So if you want to become a patron, patreon.com/BennyWills, or if you want to donate something to me for a one-time only thing, whatever, every dollar I get will go towards that. My first piece today is a surprise. I'm not going to tell you what it is until I'm done. I want you to see if it sounds at all familiar as I'm reading it. And it's in two parts. And it goes like this. They use their tongues to deceive. The venom of snakes is on their lips. Their mouths are full of bitterness and curses. And in their paths, nothing but fear and misery. And the fear of God is not before their eyes. They have taken the hearts and minds of our leaders. They recruited the rich and the powerful, and they have blinded us to the truth. Our human spirit is corrupted. Why do we worship greed? Because outside the limit of our sight, feeding off us, perched on top of us from birth to death, are our owners. They have us. They control us. They are our masters. Wake up. They're all about you, all around you. Part 2. Our impulses are being redirected. We are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep. The movement was begun 8 months ago by a small group of scientists who discovered, quite by accident, these signals being sent through. The poor and the underclass are growing. Racial justice and human rights are non-existent. They have created a repressive society, and we are their unwitting accomplices. Their intention to rule rests with the annihilation of consciousness. We have been lulled into a trance. They have made us indifferent to ourselves, to others. We are focused only on our own gain. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered. That is their primary method of survival. To keep us asleep, keep us selfish, keep us sedated. We are their cattle. We are being bred for slavery. We cannot break their signal. The signal must be shut off at the source. They live. We sleep. That's right. It's from John Carpenter's They Live from the 1980s, starring Rowdy Roddy Piper. So you may have picked up on that was They Live, but what you may not have picked up on is that I added some extra words to it from the script. There's a clip on YouTube from the movie, and it's this scene of the hacker who comes on the television and warns people. And I looked up the script online, and the last few lines that I read are not actually in the movie. From "We are their cattle, we are being bred for slavery, we cannot break their signal, the signal must be shut off at the source, they live, we sleep." That's not in the movie. They left it on the cutting room floor, but I have picked it back up and brought those words back to life. And I think they're awesome. And the first part is from the very first scene of the movie when the blind black preacher is preaching in the park and Roddy Piper hears him, and it starts him on his path of awakening and rebellion. It's a great film. If you haven't seen it, go watch They Live. It's shockingly accurate in its storytelling. It's one of the greatest parables in the last 30 years that's been produced that so accurately sums up the world that we're living in. And it's more pertinent today than ever. It's right up there with The Matrix in its allegory. And and it's also very campy and fun. I highly recommend it. Okay, my next piece is rather sobering. It's from notorious serial killer Ted Bundy, who killed at least 30 women before being found out, taken down, and thrown in jail. He was killed by way of electric chair in 1989, and the night before he was executed, he gave an interview, and he spoke exclusively about pornography in this interview. You can watch clips of this on YouTube, but the whole interview is not available as far as I can tell. But lucky for you, I found the full transcript, and it's eye-opening. This is Ted Bundy's final interview the night before he was executed by way of electric chair. I think I understand what happened to me. As a young boy, and I mean boy of 12 or 13, I encountered in the local grocery store and the local drugstores the softcore pornography. As young boys, we explore the back doors and the sideways and byways of our neighborhoods, and from time to time we come across pornographic books of a more explicit nature. And this is something that I want to emphasize. The most dangerous kinds of pornography are those that involve violence and sexual violence, because the wedding of those two forces, as I know only too well, brings about behavior that is just too terrible to describe. It is important to me that people believe what I'm saying. I'm not blaming pornography. I'm not saying it caused me to go out and do certain things. I take full responsibility for all the things that I've done. That's not the question here. The question and the issue is how this kind of literature contributed and helped mold and shape the kinds of violent behavior. In the beginning, it fuels this kind of thought process. Then at a certain time, it is instrumental in crystallizing it, making it into something which is almost a separate entity inside. And that points you at the verge. I was at the verge of acting out this kind of fantasy. It happened in stages. My experience with pornography, that deals on a violent level with sexuality, is that once you become addicted to it, like other kinds of addiction, you keep looking for more potent, more explicit, more graphic kinds of material. Like an addiction, you keep craving something which is harder, something which gives you a greater sense of excitement, until you reach the point where the pornography only goes so far. You reach that jumping off point, where you begin to wonder if maybe actually doing it will give you that which is just beyond reading about it and looking at it. Another fact here I haven't mentioned is the use of alcohol. What I think is what alcohol did in conjunction with my exposure to pornography, alcohol reduced my inhibitions, at the same time as the fantasy life that was fueled with pornography eroded them further. Some people would say that I've seen that stuff and it doesn't do anything to me, and I can understand that. All I know is that it had an impact on me that was central in the development of the violent behavior that I engaged in. There is absolutely no way to describe, first, the brutal urge to do that kind of thing, and then, once it is more or less satisfied and receded, you might say, or spent, I basically became myself again. The basic humanity and basic spirit that God gave me was intact. Unfortunately, it became overwhelmed at times. Those of us who have been so much influenced by violence in the media, in particular pornographic violence, are not some kinds of inherent monsters. We are your sons, and we are your husbands. Pornography can reach in and snatch a kid out of any house today. It snatched me out of my home 20 to 30 years ago. I'm no social scientist, and I haven't done a survey. I don't pretend that I know what John Q. citizens know about this. But I've lived in prison for a long time now, and I've met a lot of men who are motivated to commit violence, just like me. And without exception, every one of them was deeply involved in pornography. Without question, without exception, deeply influenced and consumed by an addiction to pornography. There's no question about it. The FBI's own study on serial homicide shows that the most common interest among serial killers is pornography. It's real, it's true. There are loose in their towns, in their communities, people like me today, whose dangerous impulses are being fueled day in and day out by violence in the media in its various forms, particularly the sexualized violence. Each time I'd harmed someone, each time I killed someone, there had been an enormous amount of horror, guilt, remorse afterwards. But then, that impulse to do it again would come back even stronger. I deserve the most extreme punishment society has, and I think society deserves to be protected from me and from others like me. I think society deserves to be protected from itself. Because there are forces at loose in this country, particularly this kind of violent pornography. There are lots of other kids playing in streets around this country today who are going to be dead tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next month, because other young people are seeing the kinds of things that are available in the media today. Stop watching pornography. I did. And it was hard. I'll admit. I used to watch porn as a single guy in his 20s who had no real spiritual center, who was a good person, was a good person, but I didn't care. And I would masturbate to porn. And it's like fast food. It's so easy to get. And this is in 1989 that he gave this interview. Porn has become a lot more abundant in the last 30 years. And anything that you can imagine, any perversion your twisted mind can come up with, you can watch. And you can find it at a moment's notice. If you're struggling with a porn addiction, I recommend looking up the girl whose scene you're about to watch, looking her up on YouTube where there's no pornography, and watch an interview with her. Watch her talk just as a person, just as a girl. You will lose your arousal. I guarantee it, because you'll start seeing the humanity. You'll see this girl as a lost, young soul trying to figure out how to make money, and it's so sad. It's really sad. It's a dark business, and they want us watching it. They want us to give over our seed, our manhood, to the computer screen and this vile pornography that teaches us not about love and not how to make love, but how to have real, disconnected, unpassionate, fake sex. My next piece comes from the band 311 and a song they wrote in 1999. Now, if you don't know 311, they were popular in the 90s, and they've maintained a certain level of popularity ever since. And if you think about it, 311, 11, 11, 11 is 33. These guys are deeply into the occult. In fact, their bassist is a guy named Aaron Wills, which kind of trips me out. He might be my long-lost cousin, perhaps. And this guy has some very interesting tattoos that I will show you right now in a picture right here and right here. This one says, "Do what thou wilt." He's a follower of Aleister Crowley. Do what thou wilt. Be God on earth. Do whatever you want. Here are some 311 album covers. Right here, and here, and right here. And if I have a fourth one, I'll put it right here. But I might only have three. Take a good look at those. I mean, par for the course as far as the music industry goes, but come on. It's right there in plain sight. So this is a song they wrote called Evolution, and it's downright prophetic. And it goes a little something like this. My computer is future shockin'. Download this and you'll start talkin'. Upgraded, you're now walkin'. Compatible with all that is rockin'. Coming on fast, it's getting digital. It's so huge, like a spiritual, rippling out to every individual. This is life. It is a miracle. Evolution has exponential timing. It'll be half as long till the next breakthrough that blows our mind. It's up to the people to brave on with experimentation, move forth the species by using our imagination. But can we handle it? Could we dismantle it? Or should we fear the void and just be paranoid? If it's understood, it could be used for good, and would, if you will believe in all we can conceive. On the periodic table, they got it all wrong. People want PT, they want AU, but let me tell you what you really ought to do. Figure out ways to master silicon, fiber optic connectors, whatever's beyond. So many people don't even attempt to understand the limitless possibilities of man. Evolution has exponential timing. It'll be half as long till the next breakthrough that blows our mind. It's up to the people to brave on with experimentation, move forth the species by using our imagination. But can we handle it? Could we dismantle it? Or should we fear the void and just be paranoid? If it's understood, it could be used for good, and would, if you will believe in all we can conceive. I feel trapped. I gotta adapt. Remain calm, collected before I get zapped. My computer is a rebel acting all fine, and just like that, paying me no mind. What's up? Is its program overcome by a glitch? Is it becoming conscious, and if so, ain't that a bitch? I paid too much for this piece. I'll be damned if it tries any funny business. It'll be the one that pays the price. Yes. Can we handle it? We could. We dismantle it. We should not fear the void and just be paranoid. If it's understood, it could be used for good, and would, if you will believe in all we can conceive. Just trust us. We know it's scary that it's this AI consciousness, artificial silicone-based thing, but we'll figure it out, and it'll be fine. Just trust us. Believe in what we conceive. Man's potential is limitless. And what have we seen since? I mean, this is before Wi-Fi. This is 99. I had dial-up internet in 1999. Okay, I'm gonna lighten it up a bit now with a nice song. This makes me feel good. This is a song called The General by Dispatch. There was a decorated general with a heart of gold that likened him to all the stories he told of past battles won and lost and legends of old, a seasoned veteran in his own time. On the battlefield, he gained respectful fame, with many medals of bravery and stripes to his name. He grew a beard as soon as he could to cover the scars on his face, and always urged his men on. But on the eve of a great battle, with the infantry in dream, the old general tossed in his sleep and wrestled with its meaning. He awoke from that night to tell what he had seen, and walked slowly out of his tent. All the men held tall, with their chests in the air, with courage in their blood and a fire in their stare, and it was a gray morning, and they all wondered how they would fare, till the old general told them to go home. He said, I have seen the others, and I have discovered that this fight is not worth fighting. And I've seen their mothers, and I will no other to follow me where I'm going. So take your shower, shine your shoes. You got no time to lose. You were young, and you must be living. So take your shower, shine your shoes. You got no time to lose. You were young, and you must be living. Go now, you are forgiven. But the men stood fast, with their guns on their shoulders, not knowing what to do with their contradicting orders. The general said he would do his own duty, but he would extend it no further. The men could go as they pleased. But not a man moved. Their eyes gazed straight ahead, till one by one they stepped back, and not a word was said. And the old general was left with his own words echoing in his head. He then prepared to fight. He said, I have seen the others, and I have discovered that this fight is not worth fighting. And I've seen their mothers, and I will no other to follow me where I'm going. Go now, you are forgiven. Go now, you are forgiven. Go now, you are forgiven. It's an awesome song. And he's right. The general in that song is right. My last and final piece comes from a poet named Max Ehrmann, or Ehrmann, and it's called Desiderata. Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially, do not feign affection, neither be cynical about love. For in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years. gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here, and whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be, and whatever your labors and aspirations, in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace with your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. Subscribe to Benny Wills on YouTube. Become a patron if you feel so inclined. Send me your suggestions to benny@bennywills.com. Thanks for watching. Words, words, words. Always a pleasure to have your attention. And share this video with someone you care about or somebody who you think needs to hear it. And I'll see you next week.